All right. So if you are watching at home, I'd like for you to, before you watch this lecture, I'd like for you to read lesson 12 on standard categorical statements, highlight the answers in your from your catechism on that, and then I'd like for you to watch this video. And while you watch it, and for those of you who are in the room right now, make sure you're taking down 5 notes. Remember, you don't have to write down everything because you know the things that are in your book versus what are just going to be in this lecture. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Standard categorical statements. So in our last lesson, lesson 11, we learned how to take an ordinary verb statement and translate them into standard form. We identify and write down the entire subject. Next, we choose the proper form of the verb to be. And third, we take the predicate and make it a predicate nominative. Today, we're going to go one step further and go from standard form and turn them into categorical statements. Okay, so that's the goal, to go from where we were, going to standard form, and to going to categorical statements. What are categorical statements? Categorical statements are statements that either affirm or deny something about their subjects. You may have heard a politician say, I deny this accusation categorically. They're saying entirely, I did not do this thing. People are saying that I did. They're almost always lying when they say that, but categorical statements, statements that either affirm or deny something about their subjects. So there are 4 forms of categorical statements, and these you are going to, I wouldn't say love, hopefully not hate, but you're going to know very well, and here they are. All SRP, which you will soon see, we call this an A statement. No SRP, an E statement. Some SRP, an I statement. And some S are not P, an O statement. A, E, I, and O. All S are P, no S are P, some S are P, some S are not P. Now, could you insert any 2 letters instead of S and P? Yes, absolutely. But can anybody tell me why we use S and P, George?
Because that's what the book uses.
Well, yes, but why does the book use that? McKeever? Sophie?
Subject is predicate.
Yes.
Sorry, subject S is subject and P is predicate.
Remember, categorical statements are statements that either affirm or deny something about their subject. So the S is in the place of the subject, and what is making the claim is the predicate. So S stands for subject, P stands for predicate. Now you could have all X or Y, but S and P remind us that we're talking about subjects and predicates here. All S are P, no S are P, some S are P, some S are not P. A, E, I, O. So let's translate this into standard form. Nobody washes the dishes. What's my subject? You can just say it. Nobody. Okay. What's the proper form of the verb to be? Is. Okay. Washes the dishes. Washes the dishes as a predicate nominative. Dishwasher. So standard form is nobody is a dishwasher. So you already know how to do that. But let's go one step further and take this into a categorical statement. So first, we've already got the noun, or we've already got the right verb. We've already got the predicate nominative. We've got to turn this and say no person. Okay, every single categorical statement is going to start with the word all, no, or some. Let me say that one more time. Every categorical statement starts with the word all, no, or some. So if the original statement says nobody, then you have to say no person or no humans or no people, right? No person is a dishwasher. Yes.
So if it's an animal, we don't say no animal dishwasher?
Well, if the sentence said no animals wash the dishes, then yes, you would keep it like that. Okay. Yes.
Is it okay that that's not grammatically correct?
Well, why do we say no person in this?
Because body,
Okay, so remember, in our original, why do we choose nobody is?
singular.
Yeah, nobody, we're talking about like a whole class of people, right? And so we're going to keep that same verb all the way down. So no person is a dishwasher because we're keeping the same verb, we're keeping the same predicate nominative, we're just changing the subject into no person instead of no body, all right? So how about this one? Someone washes the dishes. How do we make that into a categorical statement? Yes? Some people, or even better, some person. Again, we're keeping the same verb all the way down. But yes, some person or some people are dishwashers. Some person is a dishwasher. So you guess what I got the hang of this? How about this one? Someone does not wash the dishes. How would that be as some person is not a dishwasher? So how about this one? Everyone washes the dishes. George? Yeah, all persons are dishwashers. Remember, we can only have the verb of being in categorical statements. So we can't say all people wash dishes because wash is a verb. We got to have all persons are dishwashers, which I wish I'd picked a word that didn't have so much sh in it because it's hard for me to say right. So this is not super complicated, right? It's going to feel awkward at first, starting every sentence with all, no, or some, but not really much more to it than that. You're going to turn it first into standard form, identify and write down the entire subject, choose the proper form of the verb to be, make a predicate nominative, and then you're going to change the subject into either all, no, or some. So every statement has two parts, and I hope you already know this, a subject and a predicate. So what's my entire subject of no person is a dishwasher?
No person.
Okay, and what am I saying about no person? What's the predicate? What claim am I making about the subject?
Is it dishwasher?
Yeah, dishwasher, right? Like I'm saying they are not, I'm making the claim about persons that they are not dishwashers. So the subject of a statement, a categorical statement, is the term being described or about which something is being asserted. So your subject is, in shorthand, what you're talking about, right? Your subject of a statement is what you're talking about. Yes, Sadler. Just hold on a second. So your subject is what you're talking about. Your predicate is what you're saying about the subject. So how about this? Your subject is what you're talking about. The predicate is what you're saying about what you're talking about. We're talking about persons here. And what am I saying about them? They don't wash dishes. They're not a dishwasher. So the subject is the term being described. The predicate of a statement is the term that describes or asserts something about the subject. So keep that distinct in your mind. You have subjects and you have predicates. Yes?
Can you repeat, not what you said about the predicate, but you said it kind of like similar.
Yes, the subject is what you're talking about. The predicate is what you're saying about what you're talking about. Okay? The subject is what you're talking about. The predicate is what you're saying about what you're talking about. The subject is person, no person, and my predicate is dishwasher. I'm saying about no person is a dishwasher. I'm making a claim. Now that claim, because this is a statement, can be said to be true or false, but that's my claim. No person is a dishwasher. Do I have anybody here who has the chore of doing the dishes at their house? Yeah, I have a sweet gig at my house. I have to do everything in the kitchen, including the dishes, but my wife does everything else. So I don't have to mow the yard. I don't have to vacuum. I don't have to clean the bathrooms. I just do the kitchen. So you're looking here at a certified dishwasher. Right? I'm a professional, okay? All right. So no person is a dishwasher. Let's keep it that same statement. Every statement has a quantity and a quality, okay? So quantity and a quality. The quantity of a statement is how much am I talking about with the subject? So, for example, if I say no person, how many people on the planet am I talking about? Everyone. I'm making a claim about every single one of them. And what am I saying about them? None of them wash the dishes. So that's what we call a universal claim. Now, if I said all people are dishwashers, how much of the world am I talking about? All the people. Now I'm making a different claim. I'm saying all the people are dishwashers. So your quantity is the scope of the claim about the extension of the subject. Remember extension? Remember we talked about genus and species charts with extension? How much of the subject class am I talking about? Just some of it, all of it, none of it? What's this look like? In other words, how much of the subject is the statement talking about? All, none, or some? Luke, did you have a question? Okay. So that's the quantity. The quantity of a statement is the scope of its claim about the extension of the subject. How much of the subject am I talking about? All people, no people, some people, so on and so forth. If it's talking about the entire extension, then we call that a universal statement. Okay? So if I said all persons are dishwashers, That's a universal statement. If I said no person is a dishwasher, that is a universal statement because I'm talking about the entirety of the human race. If it's only talking about part of the extension, some or some not, then we call that a particular statement. If I'm talking about some person is a dishwasher or some persons are not dishwashers, then right there, that is a particular statement. So with quantity, we've got universal, all or no, and we've got particular, some or some not. Okay, any questions about quantity?
So quantity is basically like when you were doing one basic verb number. Is it like similar to that?
Well, no, keep it distinct in your mind because quantity is going to be always referring to the subject. Okay, so it's not the verb, it's the subject. Quantity is how much of the subject are we talking about? Okay, all, no, or some. And so I'll just tell you, be careful with universal statements because if I said, none of you did your homework, and then one of you did, then my claim has been proved to be false. Okay, so universal statements are always risky because if you can find one exception, the statement is false. All right, next we need to talk about quality. The quality of a statement is the positive or negative nature of its claim about the subject. Okay, quantity is how much of the subject am I talking about. Quality is am I making a positive or a negative claim. Now, I don't mean like nice or mean. By positive, I mean affirming something, all or some. All people are dishwashers. I'm affirming something about people. They are dishwashers. Or I'm affirming something about some people. Some of them are dishwashers. So that is what we would call an affirmative statement. All SRP and some SRP, those are affirmative statements. If a statement is denying something, it's what we call a negative statement. So if I say no SRP or some S are not P, then I'm denying something about the subject, and we call that a negative. So we've got affirmative and we've got negative. We've got universal, all or no, particular, some or some not. We have got affirmative, all or some, and we've got negative, no and some are not. Okay? Any questions about quantity or quality? Quantity or quality? Georgia, was that a question?
Never mind.
Okay. All right, so if you want to put together a categorical syllogism, which is where we're going, then you've got to end up with your statement in one of these four forms. And so there's three rules for putting statements into standard categorical form, and they are as follows. 1, your statement must begin with all, no, or some. If you're doing categorical statements and your first word is not all, no, or some, you've already done it wrong. So remember, you've already gotten this into standard form. Subject, verb, form of the verb to be, predicate, nominative, and now we've got to change the subject to be all, no, or some. The verb must be the verb of being, so that's the only verb that can be in a categorical statement. Is, are, were, will be, so on and so forth. And both the subject and the predicate must be a noun or a noun phrase. Okay? A noun or a noun phrase. Remember that. So, little helpful hint when you're doing your homework. If your predicate is an adjective, like so for example, all toddlers are naughty, that looks like it's in categorical form. We've got our all, we've got our form of the verb to be. But naughty is not a noun, it's an adjective. We can add a noun that makes it make sense. So we could say something like, all toddlers are naughty people. All toddlers are naughty humans. All toddlers are naughty beings. Not all toddlers are naughty bananas, right? That doesn't make any sense. But you can add a noun that makes sense to make it fit the form. So for example, all honey is sticky. What could you put in there to make it make sense, Curran?
All honey is sticky. Substance.
Is a stick. All honey is sticky substance, or better, maybe even better, Jesse. Yeah, all honey is sticky food. That'd be a little less awkward than substance. All honey is sticky food. Or how about no tarantulas are friendly spiders, or no tarantulas are friendly animals. So when we analyze our arguments to make it simple, we usually just use initials, and most often we're going to use S and P, as we've already said. But you can use the first letters of the nouns you're working with. So, for example, what would this sound like? All tarantulas or no tarantulas are friendly animals. What would that sound like as an abbreviation? Sophie?
No T R A.
Yeah, you could say no T or A, or you could say no T or F. That's why we just usually are going to say S and P. No S, R, P. Okay? Yes.
So with this whole like all or none thing, I guess it's a little like hard for me to deal with because, like you said, there's lots of like risk in saying those. So, what examples of logic would you use that? Because if you're saying a statement about everything, like I don't know, like no, like Santa does not exist. So then you're saying all Santas do not exist. So then you're saying something that's a universal. So how do you like? When would you be able to prove an affirmative?
Yeah, so you would say things, and that's the thing about deductive logic is you have to take small steps and it takes a while to get to where you're going. But I could say things like no squares are 5-sided figures. No triangles are 4-sided figures. Or I could say all rectangles are 4-sided figures. So you can make claims, but you've got to be very careful about the claims you make. It's simpler, it's easier, it's safer to say things like some and some are not, because remember how we talked about some can mean all? So you're almost hedging. If you said some squares are rectangles, well, you're right. Some squares are. Turns out all squares are. But when we use the word all and no, yes, it is risky. And so I hope that you remember that when you're talking to your friends or your loved ones one day. Be careful about any argument where when you say things like, you never do blah, 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 or you always do blah, 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 because all they got to do is find one counterexample and there goes your argument. So be careful in life and in logic about universal statements, but we do use them. Yes, we do use them. All right, so here is your homework for this evening. All right, so exercise 12, just one-sided here. For 1 through 10, it says, in the following exercise, analyze each statement. In the blank at the right, put down what sort of categorical statement it is, i.e., universal affirmative, universal negative, particular affirmative, or particular negative. So, some cowboys are intellectuals. Is that a universal or a particular? That is a particular. Some cowboys are intellectuals. Is that affirmative or negative? Affirmative. So, for number 1, you would say particular affirmative. Okay? So that's all you're doing. You're asking the question first about the quantity. Is that universal or particular? And then about the quality. Is that affirmative or is that negative? Keeper, you had a question?
Yeah, can we like put P for like?
Yes, if you want to put UA, UN, PA, or PN, that's fine. Okay? Number 11 through 14 says translate the following sentences into the one of the 4 standard forms. So let's do number 11 together. It says Christians, okay, Christians will not be condemned. Okay, so let's go back to the screen that talks about the 4 things we got to do, or 3 things we got to do. All right, so the statements must begin with all, no, or some. So we're talking about Christians. How many Christians are we talking about? All of them. So we aren't going to start this with some. We're going to start this with all or no. So am I making a positive or negative claim? Before you answer, remember, positive and negative doesn't mean nice or mean. It means, am I asserting or denying something about the subject? Am I making a positive or negative claim here, Rocco? I'm making a negative claim. Okay, I'm making a negative claim. What am I saying about all Christians? They won't be condemned. And so we're going to start with no Christians. Okay, what's my form of the verb to be that I'm going to use?
Will be.
Will be. I can leave out not because I've already put the negative here at the beginning. So no Christians will be. I'm talking about there. I can't end with the word condemned because condemned is an adjective. So what should I add in, Ava? Bingo. No Christians will be condemned people. Okay? So you want to look at the sentence and ask yourself the question. First off, what are we talking about? And then ask yourself, how much are we talking about? Are we talking about the entire group? Are we talking about a subset of the group? I'll give you a hint. You're only going to use each of these Well, you'll figure it out. So no Christians will be condemned people. We've got our categorical form. We've started with no. We've got our form of the verb to be. And both the subject and the predicate are nouns or noun phrases. Okay? So any questions about how to do your homework? Current.
So when it's like on the top one, the first however many we have, when it says it's affirmative or negative, if it has not, it's gonna be negative, right?
If it starts with no, or if it's a some S or not P, that's negative. If it's talking about all or no, it's universal. If it's talking about some or some not, it's particular. So you got universal or particular, and you've got affirmative or negative. Yes?
Well, also, like, if it says all Christians will be condemned, that's not universal because that's leaving out people, right?
No, because if you said the sentence, all Christians will be condemned, what's your subject? Christians. And how many Christians are you talking about? All of them. So that's a universal statement. All Christians is a universal statement because you're talking about the entire extension of the subject, Christians. All right, so let me give this to you, and you guys can just pack up because we're just about done with our time.